In one American city, rents plunged by 30 cents, and still, nobody packed a moving truck. Not because prices were too high, but because the drop came too late. For 3 straight years, rents did the impossible. They skyrocketed. Landlords hiked prices like they were selling breathable air. Tenants panicked, overpaid, stretched themselves thin, and eventually snapped. But by 2026, that landlord power, units are sitting vacant. Developers built more than demand could handle. Investors are drowning in leverage, and renters, they're tapped out, emotionally and financially. Now, a college town has lost both its students and its soul. A skyline full of luxury towers is going dark, floor by floor. This isn't a rental dip, it's a reckoning. The red flags are everywhere, but most people are too busy doom scrolling to look up. These 10 cities aren't only declining, they're flashing a warning light for everyone else. Do you think you understand the housing market? You don't. And just wait until we reach the city where the climate literally drove half the zip code. Number 10, Toledo, Ohio. Toledo has so many unoccupied rentals right now that if you yell hello, you might hear an echo from a completely different neighborhood. Toledo, blue-collar backbone, Rust Belt grit, with a dash of Midwestern oddball charm. For decades, it was the reliable, modest fallback plan. The place you didn't fantasize about but could afford without crying. Cheap rent, easy commutes, and the kind of housing prices that made New Yorkers swear out loud. It worked until it didn't. Between 2022 and 2025, developers got overeager. Think frat bros investing in crypto at 3 a.m. They built quickly and borrowed even faster. By 2026, Toledo's vacancy rate hit 14.2%, the highest in the Midwest. Median rent fell 19%, yet people still aren't moving in. Job growth stalled. Crime rose 12% year over year. Population dropped 1.8% since 2023. One Redditor summed it up. Toledo has amazing sunsets, mostly because there are no cars in the way. The problem wasn't just rent fatigue, it was rent without purpose. Cheap units mean nothing when your choices are a 2-bedroom on pothole-covered streets or a rusted-out U-Haul heading toward Columbus. Affordability without opportunity doesn't mean freedom, it means isolation. And Toledo's weather? It's the emotional equivalent of a messy breakup, unpredictable, cold, and guaranteed to ruin your plans. Sideways rain, April snow, and a wind that straight up bullies you. The lake effect fog alone shows up like it has something to prove. Number 9, Buffalo, New York. Buffalo's rental market didn't soften. It collapsed face first into a pile of snow and hasn't thawed since. Buffalo, the underdog of upstate. Famous for wings, weather, and being way more charming than anyone gives it credit for. It marketed itself as the comeback story, more affordable than NYC, edgier than Albany, and proud of the mix. Artists moved in, tech flirted with the city, and TikTok declared it the next Pittsburgh, which, let's be honest, wasn't exactly a compliment. By 2022, rents rose, bidding wars erupted for apartments with exposed brick and radiators that probably violated several building codes. Buffalo was buzzing. Then winter arrived and refused to leave. In 2025, Buffalo endured its worst polar vortex in more than a decade. 230 inches of snow in one season. That's 19 feet. Snow didn't just fall. It sometimes went upwards thanks to lake effect winds. Remote workers who bragged about cozy upstate living? Gone. Students delayed enrollment. Developers were left holding literal snow shovels. By 2026, rent was down 21%. Vacancy rates doubled. Heating costs rose 38%. Population slipped 1.5%. Available housing? Mostly buried. Rent may be cheaper than it's been in 5 years, but living in Buffalo now costs more mentally, physically, and financially. What you save in rent, you'll pay back in winter gear, snow tires, and emotional damage. The city overestimated its comeback. Too many new units, not enough people, and nobody checked the weather forecast. Buffalo isn't collapsing, it's freezing, investors included. And the sidewalks? They're either frozen solid or underwater. Dogs require reindeer DNA to manage a walk. Opening your front door often reveals a snow wall. You dig your way out like the protagonist of Shawshank Redemption, only to be buried again by the plow. Would you accept cheap rent if it also meant losing the sun for 4 straight months? Yes or no? Henderson lacked water. Buffalo has an excess of it, frozen, airborne, and actively trying to destroy your car. And speaking of disappearing resources, wait until we hit the VR tourism meltdown. Number 8, Henderson, Nevada. In 2026, luxury condos in Henderson are renting for 40% less, so long as you're okay watering your lawn while battling guilt about the drought. Welcome to Pinterest's suburbia of the desert. Just outside Las Vegas, built on artificial lakes and even more artificial expectations, Henderson sold itself as Vegas's responsible cousin. Same sunshine, half the hangovers. It had everything: Tuscan-themed gated communities, Whole Foods everywhere, and so many golf courses you'd think retirement started at age 28. Developers dreamed big. By 2022, rents were up nearly 38% in 2 years. Californians fleeing taxes and crypto bras seeking dry land arrived with enthusiasm and cash. Then reality slapped the city harder than a desert sunburn. By 2024, the Colorado River Compact collapsed like a Jenga tower in a windstorm. Water use got political. Lakes dried up faster than HOA sympathy. Renters started fleeing. By 2026, vacancies in high-end rentals skyrocketed 250%. Median rent dropped 17.6%. Some neighborhoods banned grass entirely. Job growth stalled. With hospitality and real estate propping up the economy, things unraveled. The mirage evaporated. Someone online joked, "Henderson has palm trees, fake lakes, and real drought. Choose wisely." Sure, you can still get a gorgeous apartment until the AC bill hits during a 170-degree free heat wave and the power grid starts wheezing like a tired blackjack dealer. Henderson promised a future-proof oasis. Instead, it delivered a masterclass in climate denial, complete with rooftop pools no one wants to fill. Affordable rent only matters if the environment is still livable. When heat dictates your landscaping, your laundry days, and your sanity, you start asking, why was I paying nearly $3,000 a month to live inside an oven with artificial grass? And Henderson drivers? Every car costs 6 figures, yet turn signals are apparently optional. Parking lots feel like psychological experiments. Who decided to put the Chick-fil-A drive-thru next to the Tesla chargers and preschool pickup zone? Anyway, rainy misery or desert chaos? Pick your poison below. And now, to a place where rent didn't just fall, it crashed into a snowbank and froze. Number 7, Santa Fe, New Mexico. In Santa Fe, rent didn't crash dramatically. It took a deep breath, lit some sage, and quietly collapsed. With adobe architecture, turquoise everything, and desert air that looks permanently filtered, Santa Fe feels like an Instagram mood board. It's long been a haven for artists, retirees, and spiritual wanderers orbiting the desert like moths drawn to clay-colored walls. Rent was always high. Beauty has a price tag. But then the algorithm era shifted. Between 2022 and 2024, short-term rentals exploded. Nearly 1 in 5 homes became Airbnb. Tourism became the city's oxygen supply. It worked at first. Galleries thrived, hotels sold out months ahead. Then came 2025. Virtual tourism surged. Why travel to the desert when you can wander an 8K VR Georgia O'Keeffe exhibit in pajamas? Visitor numbers fell 45%. By 2026, median rent dropped 23%. Vacancies tripled. Service industry jobs fell 17%. Meanwhile, the cost of living stayed stubbornly high. One local wrote, "Santa Fe used to be full of artists. Now it's just the landlords painting over the truth." Ironically, the art scene survived the pandemic, but not the post-tourism digital shift. Cheap rent in Santa Fe doesn't feel like relief. It feels like a hangover. Half the economy relied on visitors who simply stopped coming. Landlords slashed prices. Buyers vanished. Galleries cut staff. Even street performers picked up barista shifts. Art doesn't exempt you from rent, and nostalgia doesn't pay the tax bill. And driving in Santa Fe? Total chaos. Gridlock in a town of 90K. Everyone is creeping 5 miles under the limit to admire scenery or debate crystal energy. Roundabouts move slower than drying paint, and half the cars are Subarus driven by people who refuse to touch a turn signal. Buffalo froze from too much weather. Santa Fe drifted into collapse from too much tranquility. Both ended in rent failure. And if Santa Fe feels haunted by beauty, wait for the next city. The remote work dreams died the moment Wi-Fi did. Number 6, Boise, Idaho. Boise's rental market didn't crash gently. It rage quit during a Zoom call and left behind a breakup note. Once Idaho's best-kept secret, Boise had laid-back mountain energy, craft beer, and no state income tax. Then 2020 happened. Remote workers flooded in. Tech bros bailed on the Bay Area. Developers salivated. Beige townhomes with IKEA energy suddenly had bidding wars. By 2022, rent soared 39% in just 2 years. People called it the next Austin, and that should have been everyone's warning. By 2026, gone. The tech bros fled, the remote workers vanished, the startups evaporated the moment RTO mandates returned. Rent dropped 18.9%, vacancy hit 12.8%, job postings fell 23%. Wages still lagged behind. Investors are scrambling to unload empty units. Boise went from college town to tech utopia light to post-breakup recovery city in 4 years. Newcomers priced out locals, disrupted the economy, then left. Now landlords offer first month free parking, and paddleboards, yes, really, as lease incentives. Boise lost renters and the illusion of stability. If your market depends on whether Chad can work from a coffee shop, you're doomed. And Boise weather? Absolute chaos. Sunny and perfect one day. Hail, wind, and allergens of doom the next. The bike lanes are not for humans. They're engineered like obstacle courses. Picture yourself sipping a $7 nitro on your balcony. The barista used to work in tech, now teaches pottery. Your neighbor is moving back to San Jose in reverse. Welcome to Act 3 of the tech migration, the exit. Santa Fe lost tourists to VR. Boise lost renters to HR. Number 5, Laredo, Texas. In Laredo, you can now rent a new apartment overlooking a freight yard for less than your gym membership if the freight yard still had workers. Laredo isn't flashy, it's functional. For years, it was one of America's busiest inland ports, moving over $250 billion in annual US-Mexico trade. Yes, billion. Laredo didn't move trucks, it moved the national economy. Logistics boomed. Warehouses sprung up everywhere. Developers saw dollar signs. The city expanded fast. Rent climbed, confidence soared. Then the ground shifted. By 2025, automation swept through freight. AI scheduling, autonomous trucks, remote inventory systems scaled quickly. Jobs didn't. Early 2026 looked like this. Median rent down 22.3%. Vacancies doubled, especially near logistics zones. Warehouse employment down 15%. Unemployment up 1.9%. Crime up 11%. The odd part? Everything looks fine. Trucks still roll. Cranes still swing. But behind the bustle, apartments are empty. Developers are now stuck marketing units to workers who left or were replaced. Rents are being slashed, and incentives include free moving costs. Always a red flag. Laredo isn't dying, it's stuck in identity limbo. It built its prosperity on jobs that no longer need humans. And infrastructure can't fill apartments. Traffic? Brutal. The city is built for 18-wheelers, not people. Try crossing town at 4:30 p.m. You'll end up behind dozens of semis, 2 school buses, and a random man on horseback. GPS will confidently send you to a dead-end industrial zone. Laredo used to be loud and chaotic. Now it's quiet in a way that feels wrong. Fresno is battling heat. Laredo is battling stillness. Would you move somewhere where the jobs exist, but no longer for actual people? If Laredo feels eerie, wait for the city that gentrified itself into a corner. Number 4, Champaign, Illinois. By 2026, Champaign landlords were offering free rent, meal plans, and therapy dogs. The dogs stuck around. The students didn't. Champaign, home of the University of Illinois, exists half as a quiet Midwestern town and half as a caffeine-fueled college machine. Imagine a city built around undergrads, frat parties, and late-night mac and cheese. Landlords make their yearly income between August and May. Demand was so strong, developers overbuilt housing like it was 2021 crypto. Glass towers, luxury dorms, rooftop lounges where books never appeared. Then students stopped showing up. In 2025, international student enrollment fell 34% after sudden visa restrictions. Domestic freshmen declined. More young people chose online degrees over overpriced dorm living. The entire rental ecosystem cracked. Vacancies rose 31% in student-heavy areas. Rent dropped 26%. Local businesses lost 22% revenue in 2 semesters. Unemployment rose 1.8%, mostly in food service and property management. Someone joked, Champaign is still a party town. BYOB now means bring your own buyer. Landlords built an empire for students in a town with fewer students. Empty units are being rebranded as young professional housing, which really means grad student with a job. Leases come with free Wi-Fi, discounts, and Target gift cards. Ironic, considering people moved here to avoid overspending in the first place. Student rentals weren't stable, they were seasonal. And the season ended. The coffee scene? Every shop has a quirky name like Bean Cult or Poor Decisions. $7 drip served in a repurposed flower pot by someone named Skylar. Boise got abandoned by tech bros. Champaign got abandoned by freshmen. At least tech workers left behind crypto. Students leave ramen wrappers in sorrow. And if losing students hits hard, wait until an entire city automates its main industry. Number 3, Fresno, California. Fresno used to be California's escape hatch for people fleeing the Bay or LA. Now those same people have ghosted it because apparently no one wants to rent inside a malfunctioning oven. Fresno was once the underappreciated hero. Wide roads, working-class energy, pseudo-city vibes, and significantly cheaper rent than coastal metros. But then nature stepped in. In 2026, Fresno endured 22 straight days above 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Air quality ranked in the bottom 10% nationwide, even before wildfire season. Rent fell almost 16% in 8 months. Vacancies rose 21%. Landlords are adding free pool care and moral support as incentives. The job market is still tied to agriculture, logistics, and wishful thinking about a tech spillover. A Redditor nailed it. Fresno is where you go when you're out of options. Then remember why no one else went there first. People came for affordability. They stayed long enough to regret it. The only green spaces are almond orchards, and local parks are melting. As the climate worsened and developers overestimated demand, massive new complexes turned into ghost neighborhoods. Fresno is charging $1,400 for a 2-bedroom with a swamp cooler during a mega drought. Streetlights flicker. Wi-Fi is stuck in the early 2010s. One Starbucks still has a broken drive-through mic. Drivers operate like they're late to a tractor pull. Fresno looked at Henderson's drought and said, "Watch this." And here's a stat drop. In 2025, more U-Haul trucks were leaving Fresno than arriving, the first time in 10 years. Even U-Haul felt it. Number 2, Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham tried to reinvent itself with rooftop bars and mural-covered streets. Now it has $2,000 lofts and nobody left to occupy them. Birmingham has always been dual-natured. Steel town grit mixed with creative southern flair. It wanted to be Atlanta's artsy younger sibling. For a moment, it nearly pulled it off. Developers rushed in promising urban revival, creative class culture, and exposed brick for all. Breweries opened. Cafes served lavender lattes. Millennials hyped Birmingham like it was the next Nashville. Then reality showed up and kicked over the kombucha. By 2026, downtown rents dropped 18.4%. Luxury loft vacancies surpassed 30%. Job growth stagnated, especially in retail and service. Violent crime remains 55% above national rates. The population is barely stable. Young professionals liked the aesthetic, not the infrastructure. Developers priced out locals before the demand existed. When newcomers didn't arrive, the market panicked. Now landlords offer months of free rent to fill units above empty taco shops. What was meant to be a cultural rebirth feels like a stylish coma. And the streets? Why are half of them cobblestone while rent is pretending to be Silicon Valley? Parking garages are either overflowing or emotionally damaging. We built a city for imaginary tourists, while locals can't find affordable housing or reasonable parking. Other cities, like Madison, silently thrive, while Birmingham's tech corridor feels abandoned. And if Birmingham feels overbuilt, wait for the city whose entire economic lifeline ghosted them. Number 1, Stamford, Connecticut. Stamford was once the commuter dream, close enough to New York for a paycheck, far enough to escape the crushing rent. In 2026, that dream flatlined, traffic killed it, and the rent? Still haunting empty luxury towers like a ghost with generational wealth. Stamford was the poster child for just move to the suburbs. You got the New York adjacency without living inside it. Trader Joe's, waterfront views, a reliable train. It was the corporate fantasy. Suburban peace with big city income. Then remote work happened. Turns out, if people don't need to commute, they won't pay premium prices in a city built entirely around commuting. Developers created housing for bankers who are never coming back. Demand relocated to Zoom. Now sleek glass towers echo with emptiness. Stamford has a sushi bar inside a Target. Its branding screams live, laugh, lease. Even parking meters feel startup-themed. Traffic circles, social experiments designed to break the human spirit. Stamford feels like someone reconstructed Manhattan from fuzzy memory after a concussion. Compare it to Minneapolis, safer, more walkable, and brunch doesn't require a sole mortgage. Stamford is about paying for illusions. Would you shell out luxury prices to live where the prime nightlife attraction is a mall food court with wine? Stamford now has more rental incentives than job openings. Coincidence or pure vibes? If rent has ever personally attacked you, hit like. If you're watching this from a folding chair in your friend's garage, subscribe.